Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Just a really quick story I think we need to talk about. It does look like a lot of what Matt McGloin's been saying over at Cosmic Book News is starting to materialize, and whether or not you believe that the Snyderverse or any portion of it could come back once Paramount owns Warner Brothers, well, you need to maybe take another look at things. It looks like that Zack Snyder is leaning into the idea of follow-up films like The Dark Knight Returns and Justice League. He's going to give you some finales and some, well, I guess bookends for these particular film franchises. I think that's a good idea. I think there are a few people you have to recast, but as long as you got Superman, Batman, and even Wonder Woman, I think you're in good shape. So with that, we're going to jump in. Here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder, I'm trying to get to 50K, so please do me the solid and double check you're still subscribed to the channel. Then, make sure you click that button. If you're not, hit the silver bell icon and turn on all notifications, and go ahead and hit the thumbs up button now, because that really helps. Early, any kind of commentary or thumbs up engagement is good for YouTube channels. Also, if you wouldn't mind, watch a couple, 3 other videos that I've made today, including the live streams that I do all the time. So that'll be helpful, because if you watch those all in a line, you won't ever get unsubscribed, at least according to YouTube. Now, from the story, again, Matt McGloin at Cosmic Book News. So, Zack Snyder's gung-ho on Dark Knight Returns and Justice League finale. It's very exciting. We've got today, of course, Zack Snyder's birthday, which was a few days ago, and the timing couldn't be more interesting, with Paramount now winning the Warner Brothers Discovery bid. Insiders now say that Snyder is preparing for something even bigger, which means something's been going on behind the scenes. Now, Snyder was born on March 1 of 1966, which makes this a milestone birthday, and it lands right in the middle of his recent March-themed teases. And you know what? He doesn't look like he, has been working out quite as much as he needs to, but he's in good health for his age. And you know what? I'm looking forward to what he's got to offer. Insiders say that Snyder has both TDKR and Justice League mapped out. That is good news. Look, I don't care what you think about the Snyderverse, the Snyder Bros, anything going on with Snyder. What I care about is good filmmaking and quality filmmaking, thoughtful filmmaking, and potentially maybe he's going to have a brighter take on the future. That would be good. All of those would be great. I think that the fact that he had real stories to tell is something else that we've been missing from comic book stories for a long time. Once DC kind of fell off, Zack Snyder was eliminated, Marvel got lazy, and we got a bunch of garbage, and I'm sick and tired of that. Now, Zack's gung-ho on The Dark Knight Returns and Justice League finale. He's mapped it out and is well prepared. The 2 heads of the Saudi investment companies are massive comic book fans and fans of his, and they want to go big with those properties. Well, I'm not surprised. His properties were very specifically popular with a group of people. Some people didn't like the darker take. I'm not exactly a huge fan of that, but I'm a huge fan of at least some storytelling, and Zack Snyder seems to offer that before anybody else does, which is a big deal. Now, the key detail here is both angle. The way it's being described to us now is that Snyder isn't choosing between finishing his Justice League story or doing a Frank Miller-style Dark Knight Returns. He's looking at a path that includes doing both, and that's huge. But the question is, why is that the situation now? Does he truly believe that Paramount's going to let him in the door, or has he already been talking behind the scenes? If he's talking to the Saudi investment group that's actually investing in the Paramount Skydance investment in Warner Brothers, then, well, maybe there's some crossover there we should be paying attention to. At least I think so. Why Saudi backing has been central to this story? Well, for the very reasons I just mentioned, but we'll get into it here in the story itself. We previously reported that Saudi-backed interests were positioned as a major factor in the Snyderverse comeback, with our sources pointing to Snyder's existing relationships and the possibility of Christopher Nolan being involved as an executive producer if the right ownership and financing aligned. Well, that's really strange. Let me give you my ideas why. Nolan's definitely all into the message. I mean, we're about to get a Helen of Troy that does not align with, well, the historical period. A kind of a manipulation of Homer's Odyssey. And I'm not really looking forward to Odyssey. Some people are. but at least a movie got made. And look, Nolan's not a bad director. Overall, I think that he does some disappointing things and leans a little too hard into the mystery box ending, but hey, not every film is Inception. He's done some good stuff, and we can all say that when it came to Batman, he kind of knew what he was doing. We also reported an insider update that the Saudis wanted the Snyderverse restored, with Henry Cavill as Superman. Ben Affleck's Batman was described as possibly returning, depending upon how the pieces came together. Now, that's where I deviate slightly, because from what I'm to understand, Ben Affleck is very concerned with his health, and it takes a lot to get into that kind of shape, and he spends a lot of time doing it. Now, he stayed in really good shape because he has other roles that require him to be physically fit and look it. But does he want to get back into Batman shape? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments section below. Now, we reported that the Saudi goal wasn't small. The idea, as described to us, was to rival Marvel with an event-level DC approach, perfectly in line with what Paramount, Skydance, and obviously their new acquisition, DC, is capable of. Something where lots and lots of films come out every year. You're going to see 70 or more films coming out of all of these amazing studios, and that would really change the calendar. It would really make Disney have to play catch-up for a change instead of leading the pack, even though Warner Brothers won last year, believe it or not. So, Snyder's social media activity ramped up while the sale process was being accelerated. And you know what? It wasn't lost on me. I was paying attention. His posts were provocative, interesting, and revealed a lot about his direction and his thoughts about the future for Superman especially, and even Batman. So Paramount winning Warner Brothers Discovery changes the temperature. Now that the Paramount situation has resolved itself, at least for the time being, the power shift becomes real if the deal concludes. So it matters because the new leadership priorities will drive what DC becomes next. Insiders continue to tell us that Snyder's brand is of large-scale mythic event storytelling is perfect for Paramount's go big ownership mindset. And you know what? I understand that. But the question is, do you? Do you see a future for Zack Snyder's Snyderverse existing over there at Warner Brothers Discovery in some new way underneath the Paramount Skydance leadership? Do you think all of these studios will, jump forward and jump into making these event style films? Do you think this is going to be the difference maker for everything going forward? And now that Larry Ellison is announcing his plans for world domination, which if you didn't pay attention to recently, he basically said Oracle is the right data farm and the right data set to mine for large language models. And that is something I might talk about in a future video because it was spectacular to understand what he was going to try to do. Oracle is the container, the vault for endless amounts of data. And everybody's been not paying attention to that. Well, after a couple days ago when he made the announcement, I think everybody's on board, and they won't be using polluted models anymore. They'll be using actual data sets from everything, from health records to business records, and a lot of things in between, including accurate analysis and how people derive that analysis in the first place. I'm very much looking forward to that. But the question remains, will the Snyderverse return, at least in some form? And I think it very well may. Will you end up with somebody like Patty Jenkins in there? I don't think so. I think you're going to start to see real high-quality directors and producers involved in these projects who are not going to be allowed to have political leanings or messaging in their films. And I think that is the biggest jump forward. But hey, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Hopefully watching a high-quality movie.